This is certainly not part of Larry Gessick's retirement plan. The 77-year-old electrician by trade leaves at 5:30 a.m. and heads for his part-time job unloading trailers at a local supermarket in St. Petersburg, Florida for $14.75 an hour. His wife, Joyce, 66, prepares for her workday, making $14 an hour as a full-time legal administrator.
It's not really a retirement.
What is it?
It's working every day.
The Gessicks came out of retirement not because they wanted to, but because they had to, and are among the 11 million Americans, 1 in 5 over 65, who are still working.
It's hard, 77, still busting my butt.
So I call it the work, retire, repeat syndrome.
Labor economist Teresa Ghilarducci says work is the new retirement.
More than half of the people who are retired right now do not have enough money to be retired.
Who's to blame for all of this?
I blame policymakers who experimented with our retirement system 40 years ago, and they are not saying the experiment failed.
That experiment is what we know today as the 401k, named after part of a 1978 law that offered companies an alternative to the traditional pension plan.
The thought was,
oh man, I wanted to hear more of that. I got to get the full clip. All right, so I'm going to bring this back, and I'm not going to blame the policymakers on this. I didn't see the full video of this. I seen a few seconds of it. I wanted to react to it. No, it's not the policymakers' fault. It is our fault. It is not Social Security's fault. It is our fault when it comes to our future. I'm just not going to hold the accountability into politicians' hands at this point. Listen, I'm young, right? And I know some people are going to say, man, this is a young dude talking or whatever. Take it how you want to, right? Advice or information is information. One thing I want to say about this whole entire thing when it comes to retirement, I think that when you are in your early stages of life, when you're young, I think you need to have multiple streams of income, right? Do not just depend on the 401k, right? Don't just depend on that. One thing I want you guys to not do is get caught up in the 30-year 401k grind. This is what I call it, because I have heard and I have seen, and I have actually had a second job when I was like in my 20s, older people still having to work just to have a little bit of money. And so what I notice is that you need to have multiple streams of income at an early age. Develop your business right now. Okay. Work your job, but make sure you got your own business working on the side, because retirement is starting to become a fantasy, right? There are people that are literally leaving retirement, looking at their bills to have to go back to work. So why not have to work for yourself if you ever have to work, right? So while you're making your money on the side, why not develop another 6-figure business while you're maybe making 6 figures? But now this 6-figure business that's your own can skyrocket to $1 million possibly. My whole thing is, if you're a young person right now, you need to be working. You need to find ways to develop your own, and do not just depend on your job to give you everything you need to retire. Your job is just a business partner. They're going to give you what you negotiate, whether that's your 401k, they'll match you, they'll do all these things. But while you're getting that, you need to develop your own. I've seen people, when again, I had a second job. I remember I was working for a vendor for Best Buy when I was in my early 20s. And there was a guy who just retired from GM. And he said, hey, I'm a photographer. I just do this on the weekend. I just need this for like my beer money. And I need this for, just my income to pay for things. And I was like, well, you're retired, And he laughed and he said, well, yes, I'm retired, but that doesn't mean I have to stop working. I still need money to survive. So I was like, at an early age, I said, okay, I'm not depending on this 30-year 401k grind. Thank you. But, I'm just saying, if you're out there and you're working right now, make sure you develop your own. and get your own plan, get your own IRA, right? Get your own set of financial tools. Do not just depend on your job, because what happens is, he said he's still working in his 70s. So he's still having to work. They're feeding us this retirement dream, and it's not real. It's not real. Most people have to continue to work even when they get done working 30 something years. And I've seen it. I've heard some of the guys and women that are like, hey, I still got to go to work. I got to have a little part-time job just to pick this up. And I understand it. But my thing is, if you're going to work hard, you might as well work hard on yourself. Even if you got a job, the job should be the cheat sheet for you to run that 401k up. You know, hey, have fun with your lifestyle as well, but also think about your future while developing 1, 2, and 3 streams of income, so that when you do want to retire, you got all these other streams that can take care of you, and you don't have to depend on this job. And trust me, I feel like that's the best advice I ever got from an older person sitting in a cigar bar was, hustle as much as you can at an early age, and that way that you have many options, right? You can move the, what's the name? Move that out the way. Let me read this. Let me pull your comment up. The one redhead says, Bidenomics and too much government spending. This is BS. So shout out to you. All right. So yeah, don't depend on nobody to give you any money. You got to go out there and get your own. All right, let's get to